Good morning. It's Monday morning. It is 10 a.m. here on the eastern coast of the United States that goes to the battlefield. And today we're going to inaugurate a new series that we hope everyone likes, and where we're going to start doing little 10-minute snips of history. More or less, 10 minutes, might be less, probably be more. But we're going to start taking items from around the shop here. And I apologize for the lawnmower who decided to do lawn mowing right this minute because the grass hasn't even grown yet. Anyway, we're going to start taking little pieces from around the museum and showing them here on Facebook Live. These videos will also be replayed on our YouTube channel. But this morning I have something rather unique, not something you see everywhere. And to be honest about it, when I received this item, I had absolutely no idea what it was. The strange apparatus to my left is what is known as an Igloo White sensor. So, for those of you who are not familiar with Igloo White, I'll give a little talk about it here. And again, I can see you in the comments. If you have any questions about it or about where we get this thing, any questions at all, you can put them there in the comments. I'm doing triple duty today. I can see the screen and talk on here. But anyway, so far about Igloo White. It's a chapter of our military history that, while will not be widely recognized, it's significant in the field of electronic warfare and intelligence gathering. Igloo White was a covert United States joint military electronic warfare operation conducted during the heart of the Vietnam War. It started in January of 1968 and ended in February of 1973. Igloo White was not just another military operation. It was actually pretty groundbreaking that it utilized technology in ways that had never been used in combat before. The operation was conducted at first by the 553rd Reconnaissance Wing of the U.S. Air Force and VO-67, a specialized unit of the Navy flying OP-2E Neptunes. The units were equipped with a highly modified EC-121R Warning Star. For those of you who don't know what it was the military version of the Super Connie airliner, the famous Super Connie from the 50s and 60s. And their mission was to deploy and monitor an array of electronic sensors along the Ho Chi Minh Trail. The trail, which ran through the jungles of southeastern Laos and was a vital artery that came down from North Vietnam, supplying the forces with everything they needed to sustain the war efforts in the south. The primary objective of Operation Igloo White was to disrupt this flow, to choke those supply lines and impede movement of those troops and resources. By embedding a series of sensors that are capable of detecting both seismic, acoustic, and magnetic anomalies caused by the movement on the trail, the U.S. sought to turn the dense jungle into a less formidable adversary, because the jungle was also was probably the largest protagonist in the Vietnam War, and the Americans not having any former training on how to deal with an insurgency in a jungle, things became rather interesting. So that's where you get things like this. The operation was as much an experiment in logistics and technology as it was a military operation. The sensors, once they deployed, they would relay signals to an orbiting aircraft, which processed and transmitted the intelligence to a command center. And here decisions would be made in real time about targeting strikes, often leading to immediate actions like airstrikes or artillery. The automated intelligence collection and strike guidance marked a significant shift from traditional reconnaissance methods, which would include aircraft flying over, taking a photograph, the aircraft flying back to the base, processing the film, looking at the targets, and then choosing targets from there. But that's an incredibly slow process for something that was moving as fast as the Ho Chi Minh Trail. It was very difficult to continue to conduct things that way. But Igloo White was not without controversy. The environmental conditions, technical limitations of the equipment, then the sheer scale of the operation led to various operational difficulties. And one of the biggest challenges they faced was with the equipment itself. This is a second generation sensor. The first sensors were in fact modified sonar buoys. So for those of you who are familiar with the Navy and their sub-hunting operations, a sonar buoy is anything from an object the size of a large part of a telephone pole to a smaller handheld unit that, when dropped from a helicopter or aircraft, would hit the water and act as a microphone. Basically, a microphone with a radio transmitter on the back that the crew could then listen to the ocean and see if they could hear propeller sounds of a submarine. So the first ones were strictly acoustic. The second one generation, like this one here, were seismic and acoustic. So what would happen is you had this here, right here is actually the actual sensor. On the bottom of it would be a large rubber pike that would be about 4 feet, 3 feet long. The whole thing was 4 feet long. The pike would be about 3 feet. And you would just hold this by the tail and drop it out the window of an aircraft or helicopter. And the theory was that this would fall to the ground. These fins here would open up, and the device would hit the ground, hopefully nose down, sometimes not, and penetrate into the soft, muddy bottom of the jungle. And the whole apparatus would sink into the mud up until the point where this top cap right here was covered. This thing on the top, which you can't quite see the top of, but it's just a point, and these prongs hanging off are actually antennas. There's an antenna array in here. One of the controversial parts about this is that when they went to design this piece, they used a root system of a plant that was native to the southeastern United States, not indigenous to Vietnam. So hence, a Vietnamese who had been living in the jungle his entire life would easily spot this thing sticking out of the ground and would know it's there. Other problems with it, it tended to pick up items that were of no consequence, so far as pigs, water buffalo, dogs, but mostly pigs, a lot of pigs in Vietnam, and it would activate then. So this system here doesn't really say, it's not very accurate. I mean, you think of what reconnaissance is today, and you can practically see the color of the guy's eyes on these high definition videos that we're all used to seeing out of the Ukraine and various other hotspots around the world. Now, this had it had 3 signals, had 3 channels, and what it would do is it would just broadcast a beep, and it would say something passed by me within an hour, something passed by me within a few hours, something passed by me like right now, something's passing by me right now. And the strength of the signal had also three settings. It was like small item, big item, really big item. So they would pick up trucks. They were effective at that, as our air cover is flying over now. And they could pick up large groups of people, but again, they also detected pigs, a lot of pigs, and water buffaloes, and whatever other 4-legged animals live in the jungle. So these were dropped, and then they were dropped all over. They're scattered all over where they thought the suspected parts of the Ho Chi Minh Trail were. And then back at a command center, well, first, I'm skipping ahead of myself. The radio antenna on the back would broadcast its signal to an overflying aircraft, like we said, the EC-121, which I was going to have a model of here, but I forgot. And the aircraft would then relay that signal back to the command center, which knew the location of all of these. And they had a gigantic board on the wall, and the gigantic board on the wall had all lights on them, and the lights would light up and show where there's activity. So you could kind of piece together a loose picture of what parts of the trail were active at any one given time. The only other problem being the trail was always active all the time. So hence, it was pretty much a flood of information. So you could just say yes, no, something was going on, or no, it wasn't. But there were 3 other types of these. They were, again, deployed by helicopter, aircraft, but you just drop it out the window by hand, and it sticks into the ground. And it's also painted camouflage very crudely. You can see here, so that hope that it wouldn't be seen a lot. Now, never having had any interactions with the North Vietnamese or the Viet Cong, I can't really say how they felt about these particular things, or if they're aware of them. I have talked to several veterans of the campaign who said, some said it was a joke, and others said actually it did do some good, because you could at least detect when large trucks were moving south, and then that obviously was an indication of an operation somewhere. You could follow that truck or those group of trucks on the trail through the sensor package or through the sensor suite and kind of see where they were going, and then get an idea, like maybe there's going to be an operation in I Corps or 2 Corps or 4 Corps. So you could get a little bit a better intel. So it is an early step towards, I guess, not really signals reconnaissance, but just overall reconnaissance. And they invested a lot of time and energy in it. It was operational for 6 or 7 years. And I'm sure these things are still scattered all over the jungle floor in Vietnam. It's how do you want to say, its implications for the evolution of modern warfare cannot be overstated. It paved the way for future developments in surveillance. Data processing, of course, is a big thing here, trying to take all the information from these sensors and correlate all that into a realistic scenario that they can then study. The lessons learned from this operation have influenced countless military intelligence operations since then. As we reflect on the complexities and outcomes of Operation Igloo White, let's also consider the broader implications of an integrated advanced technology into a military strategy. So, whereas before in World War II in Korea, you didn't really have this kind of sensory package. That was literally just guys with a camera flying over. In fact, we have just acquired a wonderful K11 camera that was used in Korea in World War II. We'll do a little 10-minute history on that thing too, because that's really, really neat. But now you take this new system onto the battlefield, and you're allowed to, or you're capable to deploy this, and it gives you an overall feel of everything that's going on. So, so imagine if there's a system like this deployed in Korea. Now, the only problem with Korea is the ground being like it is. It's solid rock. There's like virtually no trees or bushes, so you're going to see these things everywhere. But this is going to be very capable of detecting a large mass of Chinese troops crossing the border, approaching the border. So again, how we balance advancements and with other considerations due to technical advances, what is capable, what is not capable, and whatnot is crucial to armed force structure today. So this really is the genus of what we see today. And of course, our intelligence gathering capabilities now are incredible. Everything from space-based to ground-based to drones. But in conclusion, because I'm already well over 10 minutes, in conclusion, with Igloo White, it may not have been a decisive implement on the battlefield in the Vietnam War, but it is definitely undeniable that it is the precedent, or sets the precedent, for future military capabilities. So this is a very historically significant piece. Again, I've only ever seen one of these, one other place, and that is the Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio. If you've ever visited there, you know what I'm talking about. If you've never visited there, I highly recommend it. It is definitely a 3-day adventure. But yes, when I got this is why I love what I do. I got this, someone dropped this off here, and I had no idea what it was, and it took some researching, and I was like, wow, that is really an amazing piece of equipment. To most people, they probably think it's just junk. So we just made a little base here to kind of see what it would look like if it had impacted the ground and has the bushes around it. But it is missing the large spike on the bottom, but that was just rubber and supposed to fall off anyway. So a very neat piece, a very historically significant piece so far as the battlefield goes today. But again, it does kind of typify the problems with new technologies and their implementation. And also, there is a slight comic relief side in that the root system that they put on the back of this here thing is not indigenous to Vietnam. So, for those of you who ever heard the story about chocolate chip camouflage, the ones that we wore in Desert Storm, the funny part about those is they were developed to be desert camouflage. The problem is they're desert camouflage for Southern California. Didn't blend in Kuwait at all. So there's always these little nuances to it. And that's what we love. That's the history aspect of it. Again, all right, so great. Here's our first 10 minutes of history is up and over. And here is a very neat piece. We'll post the photographs of it in another story. Actually, I take that back. We already did that. A couple days ago, there's a story. So go back in the feed here on Facebook, and you'll see a story about this, and it kind of gives just the numbers on the whole situation. But if anyone has any questions or comments, you can always put them there in the comments box and the bleep bloops down there at the bottom. I'd love to hear from anyone who had practical experience with this system, either working on it, implementing it, or had gotten intelligence from it. There was one person here, unfortunately, he just recently passed, who did know quite a lot about Igloo White, and he said it was absolute bull shuffle. So in fact, that he was an artillery coordinator, and he was responsible for what they call H&I fire, which is harassment and interdiction. And he said we'd fire based on Igloo White information, and it'd always be like a day late. So there'd be no point. So you know where the VC and where the NVA were, but I guess you could put them on notice as that, hey, we knew you were here, so we blew a big hole in the jungle. Again, nuances of war. I hope everyone has a great day. Again, any comments or questions, go ahead and put in there. And check out our website at www.ghostofthebattlefield.org. And on there are lots more stories about things like this. And our store in there, you can support us by buying yourself a nice T-shirt. And we have coffee mugs and cell phone holders and all kinds of stuff. That's growing. It's going to be bigger. Or you can always give stars here on the channel. I will see you back here again. Okay, let me think. There's a schedule coming. All right. Oh, big thing. Tomorrow night, we're having our first of the debate series. We had to move it one night. There's some other scheduling conflicts. So for those of you looking for it tonight, I'm sorry. It's tomorrow night at 6 p.m. We are going to debate, and it's open to everyone who wants to talk on here. We're going to debate, did the Cold War ever end? I will be arguing the less than liked side. I will be arguing against former Navy SEAL Dave Hall. I'm sure he's going to bring his A game, and I'm going to do everything I can do to win my argument on my side, which is going to be difficult, unfortunately. And then we have coming up also, we have another 10-minute in history. I think it's Wednesday morning. Check me on that. I might be wrong. And that is where I'm going to relate the story about my time with Easy Company, the first of the 506 Band of Brothers. And it's a great story. It's a great story. In fact, all those gentlemen have now passed, so it's kind of sobering, actually, now I think about it. But again, preserving the history. And then next Monday, we have another live event. That will be a good one. That is going to be another of our debate series where we are going to talk about General Douglas MacArthur. Now, strategic genius or overinflated buffoon? Buffoon. Anyway, you make the call. I will be arguing again for the defense, and the defense currently is stating that he was a military genius, and the popular opinion is buffoon. So I will hope to see you all back here on tomorrow night, and then again Wednesday morning, and then again next Monday. We will be away this weekend at the military vehicle show in Hagerstown, Maryland. We might do some live stuff in the ground there. Of course, we're really big into military vehicles and restoring them and finding new horrible things to spend money on. So I might come back live from there. Definitely take some pictures and share them all with you. Hope you all have a great day. It's Monday. It's Monday. Go get some. All right. Out.